Hi, everyone. Welcome to A New View. I'm Juji, and I'm here with Shira, Lee, and Kim. We are four friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. We are continuing our conversation today with my mom, Katalin Berland. She works as a psychic healer, combining her skills as a psychologist to help people heal from their traumas in this lifetime and in the ones that came before.
There is an interesting experience that Juji and I have regularly. Juji asked me, could you check with your pendulum this and that? And I use the pendulum and I get an answer. Then I don't feel comfortable about the answer. And I go back to the pendulum and I get a different answer. And I am convinced that my spirits are saying, okay, if you don't feel comfortable with that answer, that means that you are not ready yet. Okay? So just move on and they will come back to you.
But trust the first answer that you got.
I trust the first question, first answer, but if you don't feel comfortable, that means that's for the future.
Interesting.
I actually really love that, Kati, because I'll use my body as a pendulum sometimes, and I'll just stand still. I don't know if you guys do this. Oh, we did this actually in Juji's kitchen once, upstate. Where you ask yourself if something is good for you or not, and you either fall forward, which means yes, or fall backwards, which means no, or just stay still, which is sort of neither, neutral, whatever. And there's just, I can feel the difference sometimes when it's such a hard yes or it's such a hard no. But there's things that it's like deep down, I know I'm not ready to hear the answer yet. Yeah. And so there'll be like this neutral nothing, or I won't hear an answer clearly at all. Or so I just really love what you just said about like, just I'm not ready. And that's okay. It's okay not to be ready.
It's okay not to be ready. I am also convinced that all of us in this room and those who come to see a psychic, we are more likely the people who will end up fully healed in this lifetime. You are much younger than I am, so you have plenty of time.
Not that much. And Shira especially.
Okay. Let's just.
Sorry, Shira.
and it will speed up later on, but so don't worry if you are not there yet. You will be. I am convinced that people who are working on themselves this hard as we are doing and working on ourselves and open to the whole world, the whole universe, the reason why we are here, because we are ready to heal fully. And it's okay that we don't have to come back again. That's my take on it. It's actually, I also know that people go back and without fully healed, they don't have to come back to Earth. It's not, nobody is asking them up there that you have to come back. But it seems like the spirit has this urge to fully healed, to become fully healed. And that's why we keep coming back. I also read about it and hear about it, that there are other ways of going to other planets, other realm to heal. But after all, Earth is the best way to heal. This is the most challenging one. This is the hardest, and that's guaranteed that we are going to heal here, because we are willing to go through the difficulties, the challenges. So we are all heroes, ladies.
You're our hero, Kati.
Oh, well, we are all heroes. We should congratulate ourselves because we are willing to work on these issues, because when we are working on ourselves, we are helping the people around us. We are more loving, more caring. We don't even have to do much, just be around other people, and our positive, high vibration, which is growing each time when we are working on something and we are learning our lessons, is higher and higher, and that's just heals the world around us.
Mm.
Yep.
Kati, how do you feel having found this at your age? You're in your 70s, right?
Mhm.
Do you feel any regret that you didn't find this path sooner, like the path to this new career, helping people in this particular way? Do you feel like you wish it would have come sooner? Do you like, how do you feel about it?
It's a very good question. Just the opposite. I feel extremely grateful that I found this. It was in me, obviously. When 20-something years ago, an Indian astrologer called Jyotish gave me my readings from my chart, and he started with describing me. And one of the things he mentioned, that I had this uncanny vision about people. And it sounded wonderful, but I had no idea what he was referring to. Yeah, I had good intuitions. I always knew that I understood children particularly much easier than anybody, and around me at least. And it was comforting enough. I felt very grateful to be able to heal people with psychology. That was fine with me. But when a couple of years ago, I started seeing psychics, and then I ended up signing up for classes for learning how to be a psychic and medium, then it was just a wonderful feeling. Oh my God, I have it in me. Oh my God, I can use it. That's a miracle to me. I kept getting messages from my friends who were psychics, and we keep getting together regularly. Go for it. I got the messages. Go for it. Don't just sit and wait. Do it. You can do it. Do it.
Mm.
And that was just very uplifting.
What an inspiration you are, Kati.
Oh, thank you. It was just great. I have no regrets.
Hey, Kati, when you do these sessions or these readings, do you take on some of the sorrow from some traumas that people have gone through, because I hear about mediums who, they feel that energy. If somebody got sick before they died, do you feel that?
Another very good question. No. And this is, I have talked to other people about it. It is a matter of decision. If you allow yourself, I am not saying that for a couple of hours, I don't hang on to that story and it doesn't, or even a few days later, I forget. No, I remember for a few days. I didn't remember a lot of things what Kim was telling us, because the first time in my life that having these memory problems, which was always a problem for me at school, now it is serving me. I forget the stories. And it's not just for my own sake that I should forget those stories, but it is also for my clients, because if they come back to me, I should not remember what was going on in a separate sessions, because that can influence me. Then it's going to be in my mind, and it shouldn't be. I should be absolutely open to a very different story, a very different vision, a very different life. We might end up going back to the same past life, not necessarily. I don't think it's very common to go back to the same life, because once it healed you, then you usually come back with another story. If it healed, the first story healed you, then you should totally forget about what happened in a previous session.
Do you know of anyone who doesn't have a past life? I mean, are they here for the first times? That we have to have the first life at some point.
That's a very good question. It's very unlikely that we meet these people because the universe arranged us that we meet people who are quite the similar vibration level. So the people who are very new have probably very low vibration level. So we don't meet them.
That makes sense. Okay. Very low vibration people just probably haven't lived so many lives.
That's right.
They're not as wise.
I think I was married to one. that explains it.
He was brand spanking new.
Oh my God, so new. No wonder.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
All right.
I'm just really curious, Shira, I know you just literally this week had a session with Kati. Is there anything you want to share from that session? I'm just so curious.
Well, yeah, there were definitely some very interesting aha moments about my own situation, but also people in my life's situation, where she was able to express certain connections and issues and challenges through these visual metaphors. For example, one of them was a girl on a wagon, and it's just being pulled very, very quickly. And the girl is on the wagon and she's trying to hold on, and she's, afraid of letting go because it's moving really fast and she doesn't want to lose control. She doesn't want to fall off. And then that ended up going into a past life of this particular person who she was describing. It was not me, but she was describing this person. And then she ended up going into a past life of this person and seeing a connection between present day anxiety and a story from a past life where this person was like the mother to many children, and she was trying to hold it together, but she felt very, very overwhelmed, and she was poor, and she was just very frustrated and I guess depressed or just very overwhelmed. And then so that brought it back into modern day times where there's still like this person made a decision that they were not going to let that happen anymore. I'm going to take charge of my own life and I'm not going to go through that anymore. But by being so needing to be in control in this life, they are still overwhelmed and they need to find that balance, that ever elusive balance that we talk about. Although we did a whole episode about balance and we're like, that doesn't exist, but that's a whole other episode. It's a whole other discussion. So it really, a lot of the metaphors and the visuals that she talked about absolutely rang true for me.
So you found like a parallel with these stories, even though this wasn't necessarily you in a past life, because it sounds like you're
correct. It was somebody that I'm dealing with, that she was sort of like, going through these different
someone in particular.
Yeah. So yeah. So then that story made, me understand better what that person is dealing with and how maybe I can interact with them differently.
I see.
Okay. Kati, do you suggest when people make an appointment with you that they come to the session with something very specific because some people just might be curious and want a session. Do you suggest they come with a very specific issue they're dealing with?
Yes, in fact, in my email respond to the appointment, yes, I am recommending to prepare, because otherwise, you can be spontaneous. You don't have to you just said you had something in your mind and you ended up coming up with something else. So it's okay. There is always something.
Well, full disclosure, I obviously didn't read that part of your email, Kati, because I remember our session started and she's like, so, and I'm like, yeah. So like, I don't know, what are we doing? I don't
What's
know.
up?
So I did not come prepared, but boy, did I get an ear and mouth and spirit full of super duper interesting stories, visualizations, metaphors. It was fascinating.
That's awesome.
I find it so interesting too that every psychic healer just receives the downloading of information so differently, because there was a medium I used to see, and she would sit there with a pen and a paper profusely writing. She'd be hearing it. I don't know if it was a voice or a knowing or something, but she'd be just taking notes, and then she would read me what she would write to try to connect the dots. Where you work very differently, Kati. It's just fascinating to me how everyone hears it or receives it so differently.
Yeah.
Yes, but I train myself to be able to communicate with the spirits while I am communicating with you. That's very important to me, that it shouldn't be just because I went through that. I have to admit, I was frustrated. I was getting a lot of, when I saw a psychic, I was getting a lot of information from spirits. And I wasn't asked about it, how I feel, it meant to me. And it wasn't a back and forth communication. And being a therapist, I think I can easily connect with people and the spirit guides. It's like a triangle. And I really consider myself more of a messenger than anything, because I just really have helped to connect the dots, but it has to come from above. It shouldn't coming from my mind. It has to come up, but I have to check it with you, how you react. That's extremely important. Otherwise, it's not going to resonate with you.
Yeah.
The misleading can be with psychics who are very good at creating a very loving, beautiful atmosphere. And you feel the love, and you feel that everything is coming from above, is all about you with the best intentions, and it's all about love and caring. But when the session is over, and a few days later, you realize that, but where is the love anymore? Where I can't relate to the instructions I got from my guides. It's not me. It was very convincing when it was wrapped up in love. But when you don't feel that love anymore, then you can't follow that instructions. So that's why you have to go through that shift, that aha moment during the session. So it's becoming yours. That's very important. And very few psychics can do it, because most psychics don't have the background in psychology. They have a capacity. My friends have amazing ability to connect with the spirit worlds. They can hear, see things coming from the spirits, but they are not using it for healing. They are just using it because they are fascinated with it. And they get the love. Of course, they are constantly surrounded with love by spirits. But it is, and many psychics are able to get, for instance, I just heard a story recently. There is a woman whose husband has cancer and very, very ill. And she's, of course, understandably very worried about him. And she keeps asking psychics what's going to happen. And I don't know exactly what answer she's getting, but it seems like she didn't get the right answers. She would comfort her. One of the things I heard that from a quite well-known psychic, that he told her exactly what kind of a treatment, medical treatment, the husband is going to go through, which is says that he knows something nobody knows yet. He already has the capability to look to the future, which is an amazing psychic ability. What he doesn't know, how to comfort this woman.
Right.
And that's what's happening. Like people go to a psychic. Is Joe coming back to me after the breakup? Psychic can say yes or no, maybe yes. Does it really solve the problem? No, because if you don't know why you broke up, then it's not going to comfort you. Either way, if he's coming back or not coming back. If he comes back, that doesn't solve the problem. The fact that he left is already an issue you need to work on.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people go to, and I've been guilty of this too. Like, you go to a medium because you want to hear good things. You want to hear like, oh, you're gonna win the lotto and you're gonna be, success. All. So these are our hopes and maybe sometimes expectations. You go wanting to leave with, I got some amazing news. But Kati, I have a question for you about when you're out in public. So if you're out in the supermarket or wherever and you're surrounded by people, do you get any messages?
No,
okay, lucky you. That's good.
I am not lucky you. Exactly, I am lucky you. I admire, there is one person, I don't remember her name, who is amazing with that. And I admire her. She tells stories about going to the grocery store and then she had this very strong urge to go up to a man and telling him, don't worry, she's going to survive this cancer, she'll be fine. And the guy is shocked and pleased and start crying. And this is beautiful story. Thank God I don't have this skill. I wouldn't be able to handle it. It's overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. So the same thing is happening. I have these regular sessions with my friends whom I just mentioned. They have amazing abilities to connect. They don't even have to close their eyes. It's just coming all the time. Somebody asks a question and the information is coming to them so quickly. And I admire them, and sometimes I even envy them, but at the same time, I know I wouldn't be able to handle it. It's too much for me. It's too much, and the universe knew that. The universe put me in this position where I am for a reason. Because what I am doing, none of my friends do. This is that's why I became a psychotherapist first before I became a psychic. I had to go through all these trainings before I became a psychic. So I can really do the healing, not just getting the messages and information, the real healing.
Kati, all of your life's work, everything really, you can see how it really led you to do what you do today.
Yes, and it's really the most gratifying piece is that when somebody comes back with a different story, like you, that means that the first story you came with, the first problem you came with, was already healed. Not that I mind if somebody comes back with the same problem and we keep working on the same issue, that's perfectly fine. But but the real result, what I am craving, then somebody is already healed with something and comes back with another issue, or never comes back. I hope it's because they don't need me anymore, but you never know. Of course. And it's not a number issue. It is really just the experience itself is just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Well, I'm just really curious. I just have one last question, and that's really for Juji. Juji, what is it like to have a mom who does this?
Sometimes I tease my mom and I say, I'm going to get you a t-shirt that says, I told you so.
On point.
Because something that, you know, is an ongoing lesson for the both of us in this lifetime is that it's hard for her to watch when she feels like she's a couple steps ahead of me. Like she sees something and how it's going to go, and I can't see it yet, but I need to experience it in order for me to get the lesson that is for me in this lifetime. And so, you know, that was actually probably the biggest source of contention in my 20s, when I remember literally saying to her, like, Mom, I just need to make these mistakes. Like, you need to let me walk into the fire so that I can take away what I need to take away from that situation, whether it be a relationship or a job or whatever it was. But it's hard because, you know, her child is in pain or her child is struggling. And it was like the lesson of both of our lifetimes to really like come together and like heal that between the two of us, because it was not just challenging for her, but it was challenging for me to feel like there was always that voice at the end of it that was going, I told you so, you know, like when it all blew up in my face. And she never held it against me. I'm not saying that at all. It was always with love, and she picked me up and she held me, and it was okay. But it was the thing that we really had to learn how to deal with. And before she was, you know, so incredibly clear on this connection and this intuition, I didn't know what was going on. Like, how could you say that, you know, it's going to turn out like that? Like, you don't know. She knew, you know, so it's that whole other layer to mother knows best.
God, I can so relate to this. I can't even tell you. But there's this, that's the whole parent-child conundrum. It's like and maybe Kati's been through some of the things that you've been through. So she's like, no, and she wants you to steer clear. But the truth is that it's never the same experience. And the child has to go through it to get their own lesson learned. But it's sometimes it is painful to watch. Sometimes it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so now we've come to a place in our relationship where, like she said earlier, you know, I will call her and say like, hey, you know, there's this situation and it could go this way or it could go this way. Like I'm still unclear, but it's not because I'm asking her to give it to me in the sense of like, tell me what to do. It's to be able to talk through it and say, okay, like, I'm getting this. My instinct is telling me this is the direction for you. And usually it's just confirming for me. Usually it's just a confirmation that I had the right idea. And if it's not, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to wait on this. Because if her intuition and my, my direction or my desire doesn't line up, it means I probably don't have all the information yet. And I can trust that for the first time instead of being like, nope, I got to do it just to spite you. You know what I mean? Or I'm just not in that phase of life anymore where I'm like, no, I need to make a decision now. And if I don't, then like I'm stalling out or something. There's something very like comforting in the slowing down of things in that dynamic, because if we didn't know what was going on, then I would probably just, being the independent person that I am, purposefully go against what was recommended to me. And now I can really honor it and say like, okay, if we don't agree on this, then there's just more. I just need more. So that's definitely such a beautiful part of this journey together,
Wow.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
And what a nice thing to have, Zhuzh, at your fingertips at any time, is to just reach out and, hey, Mom, what do you think?
I am the luckier one.
Oh my God.
Aw.
Smiles all around.
We're all lucky. We're all very lucky to have you in our lives, Kati, and everyone
much
listening
so.
too.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, I think this is a really good place to wrap it up. If you've enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to let us know if you have any topic requests or questions by commenting below. We'll be putting my mom's information in the show notes in case you want to get in touch with her. You absolutely can. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Mom.
Bye, Kati. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Our pleasure.